And I'm back. So, here is Parodius Da. I'll go ahead and show you my settings real quick. All default. And now I just wait for the game to boot up here. So this run is either going to go... This is another run that's either going to go really great or really poorly. We're just going to see what happens. So this game takes a little bit to boot up, but shouldn't be too much longer. And let's get this one going, starting right now. Alright. So I'm going to be playing with the Vic Viper and using the manual power-up. Alright, here we go. This is Parodius Da Shinwa Kara Owari E. I probably mispronounced that horribly. It translates to From Myth to Laughter, and it's actually supposed to be a play on words of Gradius 3 subtitle from Legend to Myth. This game, and really the Parodius franchise as a whole, is basically the result of Konami trying to make a Gradius game after taking a few shots of acid. They were on something. Because, as the name suggests, these are kind of tongue-in-cheek, goofy Gradius games. So instead of fighting aliens and turrets, we have penguins and fish and chickens, and we're in a pirate stage of some kind. And all of the music is either from previous Konami shoot-em-ups or based on classical music. For example, this is Thunder and Lightning Polka. And it also includes a bunch of references to other Konami franchises. So this came out in the arcades in 1990. It's actually a completely different game than the MSX Parodius. This is the second in the Parodius series, but it's the first arcade game. And has a wide variety of home console ports. So, I'll get into kind of some of the specifics in this game. But first of all, I'm going to be skipping this bottom capsule here because this game introduces a feature known as roulette capsules. I actually didn't want to grab both of those at the same time, but it's fine. So roulette capsules basically causes the power-up bar to rapidly cycle through all of the possible options, and you basically just have to have really good timing in order to select the power-up you want. They're in fixed locations throughout the game, so their locations can easily be memorized, and you can easily dodge them, but they can still trip you up sometimes. And also, this is the Cat Battleship. Again, bosses are also kind of more goofy instead of your traditional core ships or organic beings. So, you've seen a few times already that this game also has bells from Twinbee. They appear roughly every 5 power-up capsules or so, and when you shoot one 5 times, it changes colors. For the most part, you'll be seeing me just pick up yellow bells, which increment score up to 10,000. Yellow bell chains are the main way for scoring in this game, because as long as a bell doesn't drop off the left side of the screen, it will stay at 10,000, so you'll be trying to see me, you'll be seeing me try to get as many yellow bells as I can. Other bell power-ups do other things, like give you a smart bomb, or make your ship invincible for a period of time, or give you a megaphone to yell random Japanese phrases with, but you won't be seeing me pick up. For the most part, you won't be seeing me pick up those. So as someone mentioned in chat before this run, this game is very, very notorious for its rank system. I'm going to try my best to explain how it works. So, rank is controlled by a number of factors, such as the initial difficulty settings from the dip switches. Each stage has sort of a minimum rank value it can be set to, so the rank can't go any lower than that. It usually goes up by 1 after every stage, but sometimes it doesn't. Power-ups obviously affect rank, but the way it does so isn't as straightforward as you might think. Generally, options are the biggest penalizer to adding to rank, but whether or not you have a missile, double, or laser also kind of plays into it. And shield basically always comes with a rank penalty, unless you have literally nothing else activated. But the main thing that makes this game's rank system so brutal is what's known as frame rank. So there's a 16-bit address in memory that has a lower byte and an upper byte, and the lower byte is basically by default, increments once every 32 frames, and once it rolls over from 255, the upper byte increments by 1, which ends up adding 1 to total rank. Now, this basically means that rank is constantly accumulating as you play through the game, as long as you stay alive. I said it increments once every 32 frames, which, assuming no lag, which as you can see, this game is very laggy, means that total frame rank increments by once roughly every 3 minutes and 18 seconds or so. But activating a second speed up doubles the rate at which it increases. And activating a third speed up doubles it again. And a shield also doubles the rate at which it increases. Which means if you activate 3 speed ups and a shield, rank can increment up to 4 times as fast as, or actually up to 8 times as fast as default, my bad. So my strategy for keeping rank low is basically going to be don't go above 1 speed up for the most part, and never activate the shield. But even then, rank can still get absolutely insane. And you'll see how bad it can get as we get later into the game. That's what makes this game very unmarathon safe. So this is SuperVipert302. She's kind of taking the place of the standard crab walkers from the Gradius games, hence the use of the final enemy from Gradius 2. But yeah, you can't destroy her, for lack of a better word. You just have to survive against her. Okay, so auto and manual basically control your power-up mode. So manual is the standard, you pick power-ups on your own, and there's 3 buttons. Auto mode assigns everything to 1 button and picks your power-ups for you, but the way it does so doesn't really work for good strategies in this game, so you're pretty much recommended to use manual. So here's the Eagle Sabu. It's basically just a parody of the Phoenix from Gradius 2, hence the use of Take Care. A lot of people like to cite this boss as the reason why Parodius games never got released in North America. It's honestly probably not even that big of a contributor. So I should talk about why I'm using the Vic Viper. So there's 4 different characters, each with different power-up settings. I just like the Vic Viper because it has the best character theme. In my opinion, each character has its own theme for these dogfights sections of each stage. The Vic Viper also has the laser, which is really, really good. As you can see, it has a really big hitbox, and you can use its sweeping capabilities pretty well. And the regular missile goes until it hits something. Time for Stage 3, which is sort of similar to Stage 3 from Gradius 3 Arcade. We have we have a giant maze here, and later we have some candy dig through. So as you can see, even with my attempts to keep frame rank lowered, the rank is already kind of starting to show some signs of getting higher. Cannons are firing almost as soon as they appear on screen, and also those hatches are releasing enemies at a somewhat ungodly amount. So a big part of this game is basically just making sure you try to keep the rank in as much control as you can, and you have to adjust when it eventually gets high, because it will get high. You have this giant candy section here. There's actually somewhat of a hidden painting in this area that was actually censored out for the PAL versions of the SNES port. The PAL SNES port has a lot of censorship in it. We have a bunch of pumpkins that will come from behind here in just a second. They're actually kind of, you actually kind of have to be ready for them because they can really trip you up. And they kind of move at weird times. Also, yes, this game is very, explicit, to say the least. I honestly do not understand how this game is allowed on Twitch, but, there are worse games, I know, but, you know, it's still kind of, it's a bizarre one. Definitely very Japanese, for sure. Now we have this final maze section to go through here. This section is actually very hard to do with only 1 speed up. You really, really have to be moving quickly. And there's cannons firing at you from every which way. Okay. So that's a roulette capsule. I just picked it up because otherwise I'd have to wait in order to dodge the cannons there. made it through. Okay, time for this stage's boss, the Hot Lips, with the can-can music. This boss is pretty cool. If you see this thing at Loop 2 rank, it is absolutely bonkers, but on Loop 1 it's actually pretty simple. Alright. I'm gonna use the roulette to switch back to laser here. There we go. It's actually not as hard to select laser from the power-up bar during a roulette as you might think it is. Because if the power-up bar is on an empty space when the roulette is cycling, it will automatically select the next non-selected power-up, so you can use that to your advantage. Alright. This stage is the Japan stage, and it is actually a... This stage is where the game definitely takes a massive difficulty spike. The rank is not as high as it's gonna get, but it's definitely up there for sure. And there's a lot of enemies, they fire a lot. Very hazardous. Another thing I haven't yet mentioned, those 2 extra lives I got earlier, you only get 2 score extends in this entire game. Which means every life you have, you really want to make it last. And you can't really afford to die in a bad spot. I have no idea what just killed me there, but case in point. So I should go ahead and talk about dying in this game, because it actually... So in most Gradius games, when you die, you hit the lowest rank possible right away. But in Parodius games, dying generally decreases the rank every time. But again, because you have limited extra lives, you can't just afford to death abuse your way through the game. You do actually have to pay attention to what you're doing. That's actually not a terrible place to die, because again, since it is going to lower the rank by a little bit for the coming stages. So here's this tree. This tree is actually special. There is a roulette down there. I could use that to try to power up more quickly, but I'm not going to take the chance. Alright. I'd really like to get an option here. These volcanoes are actually pretty deadly, because they spew out rocks semi-randomly, and the rocks are very, very fast. Alright, I really hope I can make it through here. Yeah, sometimes the rocks just slip, sometimes the eggplants just slip past your weapons and there's nothing you can do about it. Alright, we made it through, somehow. And now we have this boss, Butashio. Every time it stomps the ground, a bunch of enemies fall from the sky. You have to be careful because the enemies don't fall in the same positions every time. It was getting ready to whip out its belt there and try to whip it at me, but I destroyed it just in time. So yeah, that one death, again, not the biggest deal in the world, but remember, that's just one less spare life that I'll have for the rest of the game, because I'm not going to get any more extra lives. So here's stage 5, we're at the midpoint of the game now. For some reason, the minimum stage rank goes down by 2 instead of up by 1 after stage 4 to stage 5. I imagine they just wanted to give you a breather for the midpoint of the game. So if you've ever played R-Type, this stage will probably look somewhat familiar to you. It's kind of... Apparently there's some sort of battle stage in R-Type, and the stage is very much derived from it. Except, of course, this is Gradius, so it's a Moai battleship. And you can't really tell, but the screen scrolling is a lot faster than usual. And you'll see this with the power-up capsules. They'll just zip off screen really, really quickly. This is Yoshio, just some Moai head with with laser eyes, apparently. You don't actually have to kill Yoshio to advance here, but it's a bit safer if you do. So taking out this bottom part stops it from attacking, and then you can take out the satellite for good measure. Go through the bottom here. This part scared me when I first played the SNES version because I thought I screwed up. I'm actually going to hold off on activating this third option because I want to keep the rank down a little bit for the boss. So when I first played this game, I thought that I was screwed here because I took the wrong path, but it actually intends for you to do a squeeze here. Out of the way here. So the boss in this stage is known as Yoshiko, and it's pretty fast at high rank, which is why I wanted to try to keep the rank a bit lower. But basically just fires out a bunch of green Moai rockets. This is a very easy boss to die to. You can kind of bait it, though. Okay. I'm dead, aren't I? Yep. Yeah, the cycles on this thing can be really difficult to manage sometimes. But thankfully, at low rank, this boss is super easy. So again, that death does lower the rank by a little bit, but that's just one fewer life I'm gonna have for the rest of the game. Oh yeah, by the way, this music is Flight of the Bumblebee, in case anybody didn't recognize it. So those two deaths aren't great, but it's not over yet. Alright, now we're off to the pinball stage. Again, the screen is scrolling a bit faster than usual here. This stage is very, very hectic. There's a lot of stuff happening at the same time. And you really kind of have to be on your toes throughout this stage. And there I just dropped a bell, but that's probably for the best. Oh yeah, this stage is littered with roulette capsules. There's a lot of power-up opportunities, but there's also the high chance that you'll get a roulette. Okay, I actually was trying to get an option there, but that's fine. The doubles. Most of the time, whether you use the double or laser is just up to preference, but I prefer to use the laser for the most part. I did not want that. So, when you have the shield, remember, the shield increases the rate at which the frame rank increments, and it adds 2 to rank, so I'm going to try to go ahead and get rid of it here. There. This last section kind of takes getting stuff to the extreme. There's usually a lot of stuff happening on screen at once. And there's also a lot of bells. It's very easy to get distracted by bells in this stage. Okay. Okay. There we go. It's pretty generous in both the arcade and SNES versions. Here's Viva Core. It's just a mishmash between Big Core and Crystal Core. Pretty standard fight. So I'm really hoping that that accidental shield activation doesn't mess me up. Because it was only for like there was only for like 30 seconds or something, but that, again, that doubles the rate at which the frame rank increments, which could bite me later on. That stage, had a lot of close calls, but I somehow made it through, and I somehow only dropped 1 bell. The game does not get any easier from here, just for the record. It only gets harder. Yeah, on the PlayStation, Sega Saturn, and PSP ports of the game, bell scores from yellow bells and from bosses are completely broken. It gives you, like, almost twice the amount in some cases. This stage is just stupid. You have a lot of bubbles that spawn at constant rates, enemies that fire a ton in formation, and you have those, bubble girls that fire arrows. They're not the worst, but they are not great either. This stage is super bad at high rank. Like, if you get to this point without dying a single time, it's going to be bad. Okay. This last part of the stage is definitely the hardest part. I don't know if I'd say it's worse than Gradius 2's bubbles, or Gradius 3's bubble stage, my bad. But it's not easy. Here, I'm basically just going to be abusing slowdown. The one major disadvantage with the Vic Viper is that it does not have any backwards firing capabilities. So, there's a lot of stuff that comes from behind in this section, and the Vic Viper basically can't do anything about it. And then you also have to contend with all the bullets and the arrows that tend to just get lost among everything. And then you have this. So, I'm playing it really, really risky here by going into this without a bell power. If you're playing this game, I would highly recommend getting a blue bell before this section. But I made it through. Slowdown is very, very useful there. Okay. Thankfully, I made it through. That's a very scary level. And now this boss is Kaori, just a woman who just got out of the shower. And she fires a bunch of cupids in bubbles. She's overall pretty easy, but she's hard to hit due to weird hitboxes and also due to all the Cupid babies. One thing I haven't yet mentioned about the rank, it can get high enough to where you get suicide bullets in the first loop. And yeah, I did just say that. You didn't I did not misspeak. You can actually get suicide bullets in loop 1. I'm going to try my best to make sure that does not happen. But it might not be helped. Okay, I think she timed out. And yes, that wow that you hear in anime, this game is where that sound effect originated from. So, yeah. Alright. Now it's time for stage 8, which is the hardest stage in the game no matter what. No matter what the rank levels at, this stage is just a total nightmare. And it's even worse than that because, well, you'll see in just a minute. So, there's an underwater portion to this stage, and the water slows you down by 1 whole speed up. So you don't want to play it with 1 speed up, so I'm going to go up to 2 here. But this means that frame rank is now going to be constantly incrementing by double the speed. Because remember, it increments once every 32 frames by default, now it's incrementing once every 16 frames. So that means that, effectively, the frame rank counter will increment twice as fast, which can be really, really bad this late in the game. But that is the least of the problems at this stage. The real meat we're getting into here in just a second. So, here comes a bunch of fish. No matter what the rank is at, these fish are all hard-coded to fire suicide bullets. So, yeah. Like I said, this level is, very fun. I kind of get Gradius 3 Stage 7 vibes from that section, personally. Okay. Alright. So... this section's kind of annoying, because the double is... the upward shot of the double is at just good enough of an angle to make this... to hit the cannons from above, but you can also just hide in the lower left-hand corner there, and that's like safe. That's a safe spot of sorts. This stage is scary, for sure. And if you thought all of that was rough, the boss of this stage just takes terrifying to the next level. So the boss of this stage is known as Puyan. It's a gigantic pufferfish that grows in size every single time you shoot it, to the point where it literally takes up like 85% of the screen. And it has spikes that are very fast and also slightly home in on you. I can't believe I didn't die at the very start there. So, the only good strategy... ah, I was too slow there. Yeah, I was trying to get like directly in front of Puyan's mouth there, but it's hard. Yeah, I'll go ahead and take the second speed up. Oh my gosh, I didn't expect that cannon to fire. Okay, now I'm on my last life. Pressure has never been higher. Like I said, dying in this game, never a good thing. Okay, so now I have to play the rest of the game without dying. But thankfully the rank will be a little bit lower for this boss now. So hopefully I shouldn't die to it again. Yeah, it's firing way fewer spikes. So what I was gonna try to do was lure it up to the top of the screen like this, and then just kind of move back. You can just imagine what this fight would be like if I didn't die and it was still at full rank here. Also, yeah, that crystal just doesn't have collision. Very scary fight. Alright. I don't know what's gonna happen. We're just gonna have to see what goes. We're just gonna have to see what's gonna happen for the last two stages. Stage 9 is thankfully not as bad as the previous stage. It's kind of just a graveyard stage, and the pacing is a little bit slower than before. But also I'm at 2 speed-ups, which means, again, frame rank is now incrementing by double the amount. Stage 9 definitely has no shortage of terrifying moments, though. You have all those skeletons that throw their heads and arcs that also explodes into large spread shots of bone shards. And then you also have the flying fish and a bunch of cannons and the will-o-wisps that spawn out of nowhere. And then there's these things. I'd really like to get another option, and preferably the double before the sub-boss of this stage. I should also mention that 2 speed-ups is faster than what I'm used to here. So... I'm just gonna let that bell drop. I'm not gonna take any chances. There's a roulette here. I'm going to try to use it to get the double. To make this sub-boss easier. So these are the Carrascas. They're basically just the Iron Maidens from the original Parodius. And they are pretty bad. They move around. There are a lot of them. They have a lot of health, and they move really, really fast. But... at this rank level, they're not that bad. Red Bell power-ups, which give you 3 laser beam blockers, are really, really good for that fight. And then here we got Yoshiwara Dayu, who starts out as a tornado. And you can just kind of lure her out like this. And then the fight from there is easy. Alright, final stage time. I have to get through this without dying. So the final stage is actually a near one-for-one recreation of the original Gradius's final stage. Down to the enemy layout, the checkpoint positions, and even which enemies drop power-ups. It's actually kind of impressive, but of course the rank is basically as high as it can get here. Alright, let's see the rate of fire here. Okay, so the rate of fire here is not as bad as it could be, but it's still not great. I don't remember what safe spot you're referring to, but I don't believe a safe spot exists for this level. No. You just kind of have to dodge everything. So yeah, if you haven't gotten to this point, if you've gotten to this point and you haven't died yet, chances are you're going to have suicide bullets. Even if you've taken all the steps possible to avoid incrementing frame rate. Okay. Alright, that bell is kind of making me nervous because I'd like to pick it up, but it's kind of hard when there are constant enemy fire. That brief period of no lag almost screwed me. Alright. If you leave a bell alive long enough and you shoot it enough times, it does eventually just disintegrate like that. Alright, now we have the shower cage instead of the electronic cage. If the rank is so high that enemies fire suicide bullets, you can hide out in these corners. Ooh, I'm gonna get to shoot a bell into myself. That's always fun. Okay, so now it's time for the final boss, which of course is the hardest boss in the game. And of course I said that sarcastically. What's interesting about this boss is that you get 100,000 points for destroying it, but you can then die and then use your remaining lives to basically farm from it and get 100,000 points each time. And on the PlayStation version, it's like over 400,000. But obviously I'm not going to do that, A, because it's a marathon, and B, because I don't have any lives. And there we go. That was incredibly stressful. Not how I wanted that run to go, but I made it. And I'm just gonna let this cutscene speak for itself because it's amazing.
You win!
Yep. So there you go, that's Parodius Da. Very challenging game because of its rank system. If you're gonna play this game, I would definitely recommend one of the home console ports instead of this, but mastering the arcade version is definitely impressive feat for sure. Also, interesting fun fact, this song isn't based off of anything as far as I know, but it would later become the ending theme in the PC Engine version of Gradius. Alright, since I finished both my runs pretty ahead of estimate, I'm gonna see how far I can get in Loop 2. So on Loop 2, every enemy is hard-coded to fire at least one suicide bullet. And, once the rank gets high enough, enemies will actually start firing 2 suicide bullets instead of just 1. Alright, see if we can get to 900k at least. Yeah, the game does end automatically after the second loop, in case anyone's wondering, but with how high the rank is, there's just no way any novice player would ever make it. Yeah, we're already done. Okay, so, there you go, that's Parodius Da. Thank you for watching, and I will see you, I don't remember what day, but in a couple of days, I will be doing the Tower of Draga, which is not a Gradius game. So, there you go. I'll throw it back on over to the host. After I do this. Parodius Da screams non-binary rights.